least to most stubborn zodiac signs. Have you ever argued with someone, slapped undeniable facts, charts, and proof on the table, and they still looked you in the eye and said, "I don't care"? That isn't just them being annoying. That is cognitive rigidity. It is a psychological trait where the brain physically resists new information to protect the ego. Some of us have brains like wet cement, malleable and ready to adapt. Others have brains like dried concrete, solid, heavy, and impossible to move without a jackhammer. Today we are ranking the zodiac from the pushovers to the immovable objects. Let's see who refuses to budge. Number 12, Gemini, the shapeshifter. This sign is the definition of neuroplasticity. A Gemini doesn't have a hill to die on because they are constantly moving to a new hill. If you present them with new information, they don't get defensive. They get curious. They will passionately argue point A at breakfast and point B at dinner, and they will genuinely believe both. They aren't stubborn because they don't attach their identity to their opinions. To a Gemini, changing your mind isn't a sign of weakness. It is simply a software update. They value interesting data over being right. Number 11, Pisces, the flow state. Pisces is water in its purest form. If you put a rock in their path, they don't smash into it. They simply flow around it. They rank this low because they score off the charts on agreeableness, a personality trait driven by a desire for social harmony. They absorb the energy of the room. If you are adamant about something, they will usually just nod and drift along to keep the peace. They lack the rigid ego required to be truly stubborn. They would rather change their plans entirely than ruin the vibe of the evening. Number 10, Libra, the devil's advocate. They can't be stubborn because they can never decide if they are actually right. They suffer from chronic ambivalence. They play the devil's advocate so well that they often talk themselves out of their own arguments mid-sentence. Their biological priority is social homeostasis, balance. If holding on to an opinion causes conflict or makes the room feel weird, they will happily drop it. They are the diplomats of the zodiac. They don't build walls to keep you out. They build bridges to meet you in the middle. Number 9, Sagittarius, the explorer. This sign is a paradox. They are stubborn about their lifestyle. Don't tell them what to do. But intellectually, they are wide open. They view life as a quest for truth, not a quest to be right. If you can prove them wrong with a cool fact, a new study, or a philosophical concept, they won't get mad. They'll high-five you. They are truth seekers, not ego defenders. As long as you aren't trying to cage them physically, they are willing to listen to almost anything you have to say. Number 8, Cancer, the emotional fortress. You cannot use logic to fight a feeling, and that is why this sign lands here. They rely on emotional reasoning, a cognitive process where they believe that if they feel something is true, it must be true. If they feel hurt, no amount of evidence proving you didn't mean it will matter to them. They are incredibly stubborn about the past, holding on to grudges, memories, and traditions like a crab holding a rock. They can be swayed by love and reassurance, but if you try to force them out of their shell using cold, hard facts, they will just clamp down harder. Number 7, Virgo, the fact checker. They aren't stubborn for the sake of ego. They are stubborn because they have done the research and you haven't. They operate on correctness bias. If they tell you to load the dishwasher a certain way, it isn't an opinion. To them, it is physics. They genuinely believe there is a right way and a wrong way to do everything. However, they are in the middle of the list because they are rational. If you pull out a chart and scientifically prove they are wrong, they will accept it. They care more about the truth than the win, but you better have your receipts ready. Number 6, Aries, the toddler. This sign is the embodiment of psychological reactance. This is the brain's resistance to having its freedom threatened. If you tell an Aries to turn left, they will turn right and drive off a cliff just to prove they have free will. Their stubbornness is impulsive and reactive. It's not that they have a deep philosophical reason for their stance. They just hate authority. However, they move fast. If you distract them, they might forget what they were being stubborn about 5 minutes later. They don't hold the grudge. They just hold the line in the heat of the moment. Number 5, Leo, the monarch. For a Leo, being wrong is an identity crisis. They suffer from cognitive dissonance, the mental discomfort of holding two conflicting beliefs, like, I am perfect and I made a mistake. To fix this, their brain will work overtime to justify why the mistake wasn't actually a mistake. They are stubborn about their self-image. They will dig their heels in, not because they care about the topic, but because they refuse to bow down publicly. To move a Leo, you never push them, you praise them. Number 4, Aquarius, the intellectual elitist. They look open-minded because they are unconventional, but do not be fooled. They are a fixed air sign, meaning their thoughts are as solid as concrete. Once they form a hypothesis, it effectively becomes law. They suffer from a touch of intellectual arrogance. They will listen to your argument, but they aren't actually considering it. They are usually just waiting for you to stop talking so they can explain why you are unenlightened. They are stubborn because they truly believe they see the future and you are stuck in the past. To them, changing their mind feels like devolving. Number 3, Scorpio, the bunker. This sign is the bunker of the Zodiac. Their stubbornness is a survival mechanism. Once a Scorpio decides they don't trust you, there is no appeal process. The court is adjourned. They possess psychological entrenchment. The deeper they dig into a position, the safer they feel. If you try to force a Scorpio to change their mind, they view it as an attempt to control them, and they will double down instantly. They aren't just being difficult, they are protecting their soul. They will hold a grudge or a stance until the sun burns out, purely out of principle. Number 2, Capricorn, the mountain. You do not move the mountain, you walk around it. Their stubbornness is entirely pragmatic. They have a 50-year plan, and they aren't changing it just because you have a gut feeling. They often fall prey to the sunk cost fallacy, the psychological tendency to stick with a difficult path simply because they have already invested so much time and effort into it. They aren't emotional about it. They just view changing their mind as an inefficiency. To a Capricorn, flipping-flopping is a sign of incompetence, and they refuse to look incompetent. Number 1, Taurus, the anchor. This is simple physics. A Taurus at rest stays at rest. They operate on extreme status quo bias, a powerful preference for things to stay exactly as they are. It is not just that they refuse to change their mind. They refuse to change their lunch order, their spot on the couch, or their worldview. It takes an act of God to get a Taurus to pivot. They are the most stubborn because they have zero desire to be swayed. They value stability over everything else. To them, peace means nothing ever changing, ever. So whether you're a Gemini who changes their mind every 5 minutes, or a Taurus who hasn't changed their mind since 1999, remember this. Stubbornness is just conviction turned up too high. The goal is to have a strong spine, not a hard head. Which rank are you? Are you the brick wall or the water flowing around it? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to get all the updates.